Welcome everyone to another episode of Bruvcast. So Raj is out today. So obviously when Raj is out, we've got the super sub. Situl's
Yeah,
back in the building. How you been?
yeah, not bad, not bad. Just here to collect the checks, innit?
Standard, innit, bro? The royalties.
That's it. When times are hard, yeah. So man's got to make some side hustle somehow, innit?
Standard, bro. Standard, innit? What's this, bro? Your fifth appearance, right?
I think it's my fourth.
Fourth, yeah?
Yeah,
I better tell Raj, innit? One more and then you're due, innit? You're due a check, bro. So
yeah. I'll be expecting something in the post.
yeah, man. Raj needs to cut down on the pat leave, innit? Yeah, so we can get him back, so we can save us some peas. But no, but yeah, man, all good on my side. How's everything going?
Yeah, it's all good, all good. Back to routine. So yeah, I had a good 3 weeks off with no responsibilities in life, which was lovely. And then I got slapped last weekend when everyone came back home, the kids, the missus. Yeah, so yeah, it's all kicking off, man. How about you?
Yeah, man, standard. Do you know what? I've had yeah, we're back to school, obviously, like everyone else is. So far, so good in terms of I'm actually making, dropping the kids off to school on time, but it's only 4 days in, man. When you peak too early, there's only one way in it. One way is only going down, right? So let's see if that keeps up next week. But yeah, it's just been good to get a bit of normality back, a bit of routine back with the kids back at school. But do you know what? I think the first week's always like, you can't really take anything from it, right? It's the second, third, when they get their feet under the table with new teachers, that's when the homework and everything starts, right? So, yeah, but I think, like, do you get an influx of emails from the schools?
Oh,
An
mate,
influx.
it
Yeah.
is ridiculous the amount of emails. Um, so yeah, I can't keep up. I'll get Pab to just deal with them, and then she just puts stuff in the calendar as required.
Yeah, yeah, same. Do you know what? I got told to like before school started, like I'm gonna have to start manning these emails as well because it's becoming a joint effort now. And I was like, damn, it's like you need like a PA just to keep up to date with your kids, school activities and all the stuff that they're sending at home, and like. It's jokes, yeah. They send the letter in the bag, and then they send an email to follow up saying there's the letter in the bag, and then you've got someone on WhatsApp as well, right? Letting like a parent, the PTA basically for your year, or the rep for your year group telling you, oh, this is what's coming up as well, which is good. So, you've got no excuses to miss something. But yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, man, back to a bit of normality. The heat has been crazy.
Mate,
Like literally, it feels
it's not.
September, and yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, yeah, it's nuts. Like how we went from kind of uh, very moderate summer to now. But you know what? I wanted to pick up on something you just said. Yeah. So
Go on.
you're talking about this first week of school, right? So my eldest, she just went back yesterday. Yesterday was the first day, and the night before, like the couple of days before and the night before, you get everything prepped, right? Like school uniform, bag, pencil cases, whatever they need, right? You get all that expecting, okay, let's try and make the first day in the morning as painless as possible. So on Wednesday, we did all the prep, everything. And it's like, right, okay, go to bed early, get early start, get prep, take the take the yearly photo. But then, so check this. So I must have happened to wake up quite early, about 5 o'clock, because I was going to go for a jog around the block before waking the kids up. Mate, I walked in the bathroom and I was in there for about 2 3 minutes, and I see a wasp just flying around. I was like, shit, okay, I better get this fucking wasp out. 2 minutes later, another one pops in or pops up, and then another one. And bruv, there were five wasps in the bathroom at 5 o'clock. I spent an hour and a half, right, trying to get these wasps up because I knew my eldest wouldn't go in the bathroom, right? The missus would be having a go at me for like leaving the window open or something. Whatever, it was hot. So yeah. So it came to about 5:45, and obviously I couldn't open the bathroom door because there was a danger that these wasps would kind of fly in, and they were buzzing like crazy, right? So fine. I opened the windows. I was like, this is not working. I need to just kill them, right? So then I jumped in the car, bruv. At literally at 5:45, driving round. Like I went all the way to Tesco near you. I went to Sainsbury's. I drove around looking for like local shops, anything that sells like pesticide or anything that could just knock these flies wasps out. Nothing's open, couldn't find anything. Bruv. Then I spent the next 40 minutes Googling it on and looking at YouTube, like what are the kind of homemade pesticides you can make. Yeah, ended up to be dish soap
Yeah.
and water, but apparently kind of kills them off. So there's anything I can't just walk in. These wasps are kind of on it, right? I'm gonna get stung. So then I had to go into the loft, get my winter jacket, right? Put some gloves on, cover my face. You can imagine like five like crazy wasps, and then spray the crap out of them. Meanwhile, Pals like screaming at me at 5:30 in the morning. It's like, why the fuck are you like turning the lights in and off? You're making so much noise. It's the first day, bro. I got it right. Whatever could go wrong in the morning went wrong. Luckily, I got them all out. Just as like my oldest like was waking up. And then yeah, kind of I just dealt, had a shower and then missed had a shower. But bro, I was like 2 hours from if I can you imagine, yeah, if I didn't wake up when I woke up, we would have missed the kind of start of first day of school.
That's the
Yeah,
thing. I mean, like whatever. Do you know what? That's what always happens, right? You know when you're early to a wedding, or
that's it.
or you think everything's going to plan, and you're gonna make you're gonna make you're gonna make it on time or even early. Something always happens, yeah. And it's always when you're too arrogant about it, or when you're over prepared.
That's
Something's going to
it.
happen. So sometimes, so then you're like, you know what? F this. I might as well not be as prepared, right? And literally go with the flow as I usually do, and turn up 5-10 minutes late. Yeah, at least I'm not as At least I'm only stressed about turning up late, right? Rather than it's the worst. It's actually worse when you've prepared. You've prepared everything. You've got your ducks in line, and you know what time you're going to make. You're going to make it early, and then something goes wrong. That's when you're even more peed off because you've put all that prep work into it, right? But you
That's
still
it.
turn up late. I think I'll give you another story. Something similar, right? That happened to us. So eldest's, no, youngest's fifth birthday, right, in February, and we were on time. We'd done everything we had to do. It was a joint birthday party with another parent, right? Our daughter and her school friend basically were having a joint birthday party. The place was like 7 minutes away it's somewhere in Caterham or wherever it was, and I spent the morning. So in the party bag, we were going to be giving away footballs, yeah. So there was about 20. There was a whole class coming, right? So I was literally blowing up these 20 footballs, right, using the car because I've got the car pump, right. So, but the car's got to be on, right. The car was on. The engine was on because it just makes sense to leave the engine on because obviously otherwise the battery goes flat, right. But halfway through, I had to go tend to something, so I took the keys out of the car. Then when I came back, I was probably in my own thoughts or whatever. I put the key back in the ignition, but I didn't turn it all the way, right? So the car's on, yeah,
Yeah.
on second click basically. I pump up the 15 other other balls, yeah. We lock up the house and we're good to go. We've got around 20 minutes to get there, right? Which is great. So literally we're all in the car, locked up. We're gonna make it, yeah, dude. The car won't start, obviously, yeah. And then I was like,
No.
shit, I fucking drained the battery, right? What a stupid thing to do. Then, obviously, got the Uber. We were there turning up to we were on time, but actually, when it's your thing, you need on time is late, yeah. You need to
Yeah.
be there at least 10 minutes early, right? So it was just weird. We were walking in with other other like guests of the guests who were coming, but it is, you know what? Luckily, it was only a fifth birthday party, right? But and it worked out. But you know what? Whatever's going to go wrong is going to go wrong at that time. You can't help it, man. But yeah, man,
That,
5 a.m. Yeah, wasps.
bro,
That
that's
is one
it.
thing that I would not be want to be. I would not want to be fighting.
Bro, that is it, right? It's always when you're trying to get ready for something big. And yeah, you're right. Like sometimes you're like, what's the point? You kind of learn to accept that something may go wrong when you're trying to like over plan, over prep, right? And this happens all the time. Like my mate, she screws at me. Like holidays, bro. She has to be there 3.5, 4 hours like early, right? And I'm like, like you can't control the traffic or trains or whatever, right? There's no
Uh,
point. Um,
I'm not. You know what? I've never been. I'm always tardy, man. You know this, yeah. My missus, on the other hand, yeah, I bring her down with me in the sense that I just take my time, yeah. Whenever we have to go somewhere, literally just go up for a shower, probably about half an hour before we're probably meant to leave or something like that, and then we're always late. So yeah, I know what you mean. Do you know what? I find it stressful traveling with people who need to be at the airport or anywhere. Like God knows, like 4 or 5, 4 hours before, you need to be there, basically, or even just stressing. I guess it's stressful being with someone who's just constantly nagging to get somewhere because at the end of the day, you're going to turn up. My mentality is you're going to turn up, yeah, whether you turn up early or not. I mean, obviously, there's certain things you just need to turn up early for, yeah, or on time for, yeah, but it just adds to that. It's that added pressure. Does that make sense?
that is it.
It's the added.
That is it. I mean, the last time I had that added pressure, I got a bloody speeding ticket. Because
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
yeah, it's like you know what, like it was like yeah, like Pad's first cousin's thing, right? And this was in Leicester, bro. There's one road, right, and it's right near where parents live. Everyone, and it's a 50, so everyone's going at least 60. There's no cameras. There's
Yeah,
nothing ever there, right? This one time, I happened to go slightly above. There's those kind of on the side, you've got those uh, mobile vans with, bro, that is it. And that's only because everyone's like having a go at me for being late or whatever, and you had to be there. And that's it. It's, bro, that added pressure, right, makes you like do stupid things, which
yeah.
they do, kind of out of character. So something always goes wrong. I can't remember what it was that time. I think it might have been a water leak in the house, and everyone's leaving the house. So we had to wait for someone to come fix it. Otherwise, the whole
Mhm.
like floor would be flooded, right? It was like, how do you plan for this shit? You just
You
can't
don't,
plan
man.
for any of this shit.
It's literally you react, right? You literally react. You're always with those kind of things. You always got to be reactive, and to be fair, when you're put under pressure and you've got to be reactive, 9 times out of 10, actually, you come out swinging, right? Because you have to, especially with the water leak. You're going to have to, like, call up whoever you need to, turn off the stopcock or whatever it is, your mate water mains, and then, get someone out. Because at the end of the day, that's one thing you can't go without, right? Because that's boiler going or leak in the house. Yeah, that's two of the worst things that could happen. Yeah. But yeah, I think when your back's against the wall, you can't plan for the things that are going to happen, and when your back's against the wall, you're always going to come out swinging because you got no choice. Because you know why? If you don't, yeah, you're still just going to hear it from the missus, left, right, and center. Whether
But
you're gone.
no, to say, so do you think you're like you kind of operate more effectively when you're under pressure because you're scared of the kind of ball ache you're gonna get?
Yeah, man. You know what? It depends. It depends what the situation is. Yeah, there's days where I can take the abuse and just be calm about it and just move on. Yeah, and that's it. And there's other days if I know that she's right, yeah, and I'm getting bollocked basically for being late, and I know she's right, yeah, then I come out, I'll get so defensive because I'm frustrated at myself, yeah, but I need to take it out on someone else. Does that make sense? Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm not gonna admit, I'm just gonna be stubborn. So it depends. It just depends on what it is, man. It just because at the end of the day, right? As a married couple, not even though you've got your values and things that you believe in are pretty much similar. Yeah, they're not always the same, right? One person who wants to get there somewhere on time, and there's another one who's actually laxed about being on time. They don't, that's what happens. It's like chalk and cheese, and there's certain things that we're allowed to kind of. Someone told me this the other day. Actually, it was really cool. And shout out to that person, yes, Sima. But she basically said you can love the person, but you can hate the process. You're allowed to hate the process, bro. You know what I mean? And I never thought
Yeah.
about it that way, but that's pretty deep, man. I was like, okay, yeah. And do you know what? It's something that makes a lot of sense, right? Because I was just saying how, on a weekday, like my mind is just on getting, after the kids get home from work, oh, sorry, from school, right? I wish they went to work. That made my life easier. But after they get from school, right? I just want to get them bathed, homework done, food, yeah, and and get to that ugly bit, which is bedtime. Getting the kitchen cleaned up, yeah, and then starting bedtime, right? Because you just don't know what you're going to get, and I think I'm more stressed during that finishing food, the end of dinner to start of bedtime process to the end of bed. That point for me is the most stressful because it just doesn't go to plan ever, and it goes to plan when you least expect it to, but it's like, you're literally expending energy that you don't have, yeah, to get your kids to brush their teeth, put their, like maybe comb, brush their hair, read, because you get them upstairs, you brush their teeth, and it's like, oh, have you got your book with you? No, it's downstairs in my bag, So I was just like, those little things that just prolong stuff. And then when you think you've read the book, you've ticked all the boxes, you've kissed them goodnight, right? And then they say, Daddy, I'm thirsty.
Oh, mate. Those
And you're
words.
mentally and physically done, bro. Right? So this is where I was just saying, and then I was like, do you know what? Am I bad? You start questioning yourself, man. You're only asking for water, bro. Why is it so taxing? Obviously, because everything's spent. Yeah. So that comes back to this whole thing about, it's okay to love the person but hate the process.
That's it.
But yeah, I don't know, man. And what you're saying to me is exactly that, right?
Uh,
It's like, yeah, go on.
exactly. Bro, you should tell the kids, you might as well just keep swallowing your saliva. That will keep you hydrated.
My wife might hear me, man. She'll be like, "How do you like it?"
That's
Oh
it.
man, do you know what? That is deep, man. Imagine that. Imagine that. Do you know what? Let me ask you a question though. Yeah, if you were that taxed, yeah, do you think there's parents out there who would be like, "I ain't going downstairs"? Like sometimes you got the softer side of the parent, right, where you're just like, "Oh, do you know what? You got to do
Yeah.
what you got to do. Go downstairs, get it." Yeah. Do you think there's parents like, is there a cup anywhere in the house? If there's a cup in the room, yeah, and you don't have to go downstairs, do you think there's parents out there who would be like, bathroom water's fine, man.
Yeah.
The bathroom water's fine, bro. Yeah.
You know what? I reckon that does kind of happen, right? I know I've done it like uni when like hungover a night out, be like,
You don't
oh,
know what you're putting in your mouth.
there you go,
Yeah.
there you go, bro. Like we're still right, but yeah, to your point, I reckon that there are probably people out there that yeah,
Not judging either, man. You got
not
to do
not
what you
not
got to do.
judging
Yeah.
exactly.
At that time of night, I see. It's all
Bro,
cash.
whatever works. You know what? You got a good point because it's comes to a point sometimes where I'm like suppose like kids are fighting or whatever, right? And I take this like a similar attitude to work now. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? It's not my problem. Sort it out between you. I was like,
Yeah.
we would, bro. If they want to carry on like arguing and screaming and hit each other, crack on, mate. Like that's your problem. Don't get me involved in your shit.
Yeah.
And you know what? That attitude has slowly at times transferred over to work, where
Yeah.
like people are like not getting on. I'm like, you're fucking grown adults, mate. Sort your shit out and then come back to me. I don't want to solve your fucking problems, bro. I've got enough problems to deal with. I don't need your fucking petty shit. You get me?
Mate, I second that, man. Do you know what? Yeah, you're better off spending your time dealing with the problems at home, yeah, separating your kids when they're fighting, right? So yeah, it's true. Do you know what? Actually, I think that's what happens, man. And that sounds like the experience of a parent coming in where you know what you have to teach your kids to like not teach them sorry you have to get them to be self-sufficient in their in their ability to solve problems with others, right? They do it on a daily basis without you at school, so but it's jokes, isn't it? But when they get home, they literally want you to sort every single problem out for them,
Yeah,
right? So I think it makes sense. There's days as well where after if my little ones are arguing about something or can't agree, I literally just say, hey, pack it up. Just pack it up. You can't if you can't agree, yeah, and if you can't resolve your differences, then pack up the game that you're arguing about and let's go to bed. And as soon as you mention that, it's like, no, 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 it's okay, we're good. But I think now, you know, when you turn a corner when they're a certain age, right, you're okay. You don't have to solve all their problems. So at school, obviously, our kids are probably like angels, right? They don't, they're obedient. They get on with everyone, and they've just spent 8 hours or so being obedient, not talking back or not voicing their opinions when they probably should voice their opinions, and they've just followed the process, right? As soon as they get home, they everything like starts, right? The arguing probably starts, or the obediency levels drop, or in the
yeah,
listening completely, like they don't listen. They're doing the opposite of everything they did for 8 hours, and that's because they're back in their own environment, and because they've spent those 8 hours in an environment where they've had to follow the process, they're literally back in their comfort zone and letting all of that frustration. It's such a simple thing, but it's so easy to overlook it, because the first thing I ask you when the best time of the day, right, on a weekday is when I pick up the kids from school, because they're happy and they're smiley
yeah,
and they're in the car and they're eating their snack, bro. As soon as we park up, yeah, something happens. I don't know what happens, but it's exactly that, where everything goes out the window, yeah. And I'm like, man, my job just became 10 times harder, and I'm just like a walking, bro. I'm just like literally crawling out of the car, and I'm like, here we go. You know what I mean, isn't it? So I guess it's that, and it even says, right, you shouldn't when you finish school, you should when they finish school, don't ask them how their day was. Don't ask them too many questions, because they're probably like still they'll find that taxing,
yeah.
because they've just had a taxing day, but they don't know how to express themselves. So it's all, I don't know. I mean, I agree with it to a certain extent, but it makes sense. But I mean, what do you talk about otherwise? The
Yeah,
first thing I get asked is there a snack, Daddy? Nothing else.
that's it. Yeah, it's a snack and with my iPad.
Yeah, man. But yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, speaking of pressure, though, Situl, yeah, check this. When you're in an environment where, like, let's say school parent environment, so it's like you're not really tight with them, but obviously it's like a hi hello kind of thing, or in any environment where you're not in your environment where you just be relaxed, yeah, you
Yeah,
kind of not on edge, but you've got your wits about you and you're a bit more alert. Do you ever get pressure to say the right thing? And when I say the right things, yeah, so it could be in any, I'll give you an example, right? So I you're at a party and someone shares some kind of news with you, good or bad or whatever, and you just don't know how to process it, and you just want to say the right thing, but you just don't know what the right thing to say is in that moment, right? It could be something very awkward, yeah. It could be something, it just could be anything. But I always, this is a personal thing. Like, when I go to a party or something, and it's not someone I don't know that well, it's not small talk. It goes beyond small talk, and they make a statement, and I'm like, fuck, say something. Where's the right thing to say? But without being judgmental, but without being too overly kind of like in favor of what that statement is. It just, I don't know. Do you ever feel pressure to, and then you make a hash of it and say the complete stupidest thing, yeah, ever that you could have probably said, and you think to yourself, why the fuck did I say that? But
yeah,
I'll give you a proper backstory anyway, but I just want to get your thoughts on it.
yeah. So my my reaction is okay. Like if I've got nothing positive to say and I don't want to be like rude and I get pressure, I was like, okay,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand. Okay, right.
But did you
That,
not feel that the other person knows that this guy's not, he's
yeah,
not being a dick?
probably they become a dick, but it's like you using every filler word I know in the dictionary,
Yeah,
not either affirm what they say or kind of repeat what they say.
exactly.
That's
No, it makes sense.
the only way. But I know the other. person is probably thinking this guy's a dick.
Yeah,
Does he
I
not
mean,
have
you
a
never know what they're thinking, but yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, fair, fair. Do you know what? That's probably like really on the. It's the most on the fence kind of thing to say, isn't it? And then that's it. And it, I guess it. I just don't react that way. I don't know why. Yeah. So when I went to a birthday party, and I won't tell you which kid it was for, but I went to a birthday party. Um, you know, all the parents, yeah, are top. They're such lovely people, and just like, and yeah, it was. I took my little one on my own, and one of the parents, right, came up to me, and lovely guy, and he just caught me off guard, and he basically, yeah, and it's obviously like it was sad news, but he just wanted to share it, obviously, but in the sense that what he said was he was like, oh, me myself, he's basically saying him and his partner had separated, and it was like, it's just something you don't expect to hear on a daily basis, right? And
oh,
they were both there, the partner, or ex partners, were both there with their little one as well. And do you know what? I just didn't know what to say. Does that make sense? I
yeah,
was like, shit. I was caught off guard, and there was a long, prolonged silence. I was like, say something. In my mind, I was thinking, say something, you idiot. And then the first thing, obviously, then my words came out, and I was like, oh, I'm so, and I was genuinely like, so sorry
yeah.
to hear that, obviously. And I just didn't know what to say beyond that after. And I was like, and then I was like, shit, is it okay to, what do you say? What do you say, right? And it was a prolonged silence. And then I was like, how's, his little one taking it? And do you know what, to be fair play to that guy, right? Because it takes, you know what, I don't know, it's not obligatory for you to share that news, right, with anyone,
Yeah,
yeah? But he did, and which is fair play, right? And like I said, he's a really nice guy, and like it was obviously it's not the greatest of news, but I was just like, from that perspective of the other person, like, what do you say? Does that make sense?
bro,
Right?
that is awkward. That like yeah, that is awkward. Like yeah, when someone's like shares kind of what that is devastating news, right? Um, how I don't know how would you react?
Exactly. And obviously, I reacted in that way I did, but you always like you're trying to be as politically correct as possible, right? And then what made it even more awkward, right, was when he was telling me, and he was like, "Yeah, I just told your," and he was saying, he goes, "I just, he goes, my other half is, letting your has spoken to your wife already, just now. Actually, I think they're speaking right now." I was like, what? And then I was like, I've come here by myself. Yeah, I was there by myself. So I was like, oh shit. So I was like, and I was trying to, I was like, what? And I was like, I peered over, and I was like, that's not, and then I was like, that's not my wife. That's someone else's wife. Yeah. And I was like, oh no. And then I was like, shit, first off, who does he think I am? Yeah. Clearly he thinks I'm that other person's husband, but the other person's,
Oh,
yeah. And to be fair, the other person's husband, right? I wouldn't, look, he's Indian as well, right? But, and tall, and probably and slim as well, yeah. But I mean, we don't look that much alike, right? Yeah,
yeah.
obviously someone else may beg to differ, right? But I was like, oh shit. So then he goes away, right? He goes
What
away, and
the
then
fuck?
and because I was like, you know what? I just nodded, because I was like, I do not want to make this any more awkward than it needs to be, because it was hard for him probably to say it, right? And I was like, shit. And then about an hour into it, right? My wife, my real wife, the actual wife, does turn up to the party, because because she had to pick me up with the little one. And then he, I think he was standing from afar, and then he quickly realized, oh shit, yeah, I made a terrible mistake. And then he came over to me, and he was like, Mick, yes. I was like, he goes, yeah, I told you that. I was like, I know exactly what's happened here. It's just a big misunderstanding. Yeah, it is a
Bro,
massive misunderstanding. And he went red, like he was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, no, no, no. I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. Like, what do I say? Do I, how did, it was just such an awkward, it was such an
what?
awkward moment. Yeah. And he was like, I don't know. He just kept looking at me and then looking at my wife. My wife was like, "What is going on? What is happening right now?" I was like, "Nothing. Nothing is happening." And then, yeah, I mean, it all came out anyway in the end, right? But it was such an awkward. Like, I just wanted to get out of there. Does that? And I'm
Yeah,
sure he
yeah.
felt the same.
Bro, like, how do you even? I don't get how you get to that point of making a mistake. So yeah, I don't get that because that's the kind of news you probably don't share with someone you don't know that well, right? If
Do you know what though? I don't know, man. It's like it's debatable, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, your your kid is mates friends with all that whole class, right?
yeah,
And at the same time, you've probably and because the class is kind of tight knit as it is, it's like you don't have to. I mean,
yeah,
there's no obligation to share it. Who cares what other people think, kind of thing, right? I think it's more that maybe they just wanted it to be out in the open,
yeah,
so there was no, it was their personal choice, which is, I mean, which is normal. I think it's perfectly normal. I think it was just it's just that it just you just realize actually I felt it was, you know you're at a different stage of your life. If we're hearing that kind of news now, right, being told directly to us, back in the day it was kind of like people
hush
older
hush.
than you, your parents were talking about it, that someone got, but now it's direct. So I guess now you're dealing with that kind of stuff as well. And I also think it's another reason they probably shared the news is because what if their little one shared the news to their classmates and
Yeah,
people had questions. Would you want to be caught off guard with your kid asking you those questions, or saying those things, or does that make sense? So I
yeah,
guess
yeah,
it's easy for us to manage from that perspective as well, because at the end of the day our children are very inquisitive, right?
right.
And there's a certain fear factor that, oh, if that happened there, then that couldn't happen here. So there's so many factors. I think so. Fair play, like people who share, because it's not easy for them, and I guess it's not, neither is it easy for someone to hear it and share the right thing to say. But I think the best thing, I think I actually spoke to my wife about it, and she was like, anything you can do is be supportive. That's it.
Yeah,
Show support in whichever way. But he goes, also awkward. I think awkwardness is a normal part of it. It's a
yeah.
very taboo thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is, and not so much anymore. To be fair, it's not what it was. It's not as bad, but yeah, kind of being put under that pressure, bro. Like having a kind of impromptu wife swap. Yeah,
I mean, I just didn't go into detail about it because I didn't know whether we were meant to know or not.
oh
So I was
yeah,
like, and then it all,
yeah,
my wife's got a relationship with the other half of of that gentleman, so it was all cool. In the end, it was all ironed out. I mean, because everyone was to know anyway. It was just that, you know, it was. I was one of the first people inadvertently to find out through the source. It was just, how do you correct that? There's no need to correct it. I think it will just
fair
naturally
enough.
correct itself. I think sometimes you just do nothing and it'll correct itself. Well, that's
Yeah,
otherwise you go and try to correct that. Yeah, you'll just make it even more awkward. Would you say, "Oh, I don't think that's not my wife"? First off, and I don't think you're meant to be telling me that. I mean, just becomes really awkward.
bro.
just
But you know what? Sometimes that's the best policy. You just play along. Like
yeah.
whatever the situation, just play along. And then yeah, like hopefully it works out, and if not, then it is what it is, isn't it?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. What was I going to say to you? Yeah, I mean, look, like it just becomes, you're right. You just got to either do nothing or rip the plaster off and get on with it, man. But
Yeah,
yeah, that was my that was the most relevant thing that I wanted to bring to light, man. Just how do you react and say the same? How do you say the right thing? But hey, maybe sometimes you can't, and you just gotta say the first. Well, probably not the best thing to do, but don't say the first thing that comes to your mind because it might be the wrong thing. But
yeah, exactly. But okay, so not the same, right? But
yeah.
there's times where I've done that where someone has mistaken me for someone else,
Hmm.
and I just play along, just fuck off, like fuck with them. Then they start talking like,
Like what? Give me some context. Go on. Give me an
well,
example.
okay, so there was where was it? It was actually not too long ago. It was one of my brother's mates' wedding, reception that we're kind of invited to. So like my brother and all his mates were there, and then like there was loads of people from like where we live, but also like I knew some of the groom's like family because they're like kind of my age, and
Yeah,
so this uncle must have come up to me at the reception. Like he obviously had a drink or two, right? Kind of whiskey on the rocks, and it was quite early, so he wasn't drunk, but he was kind of getting there. He was on a nice kind of chilled thing, right? Um, and so yeah, he must have mistaken me for one of his nephews from America that he's not seen, and he thought I was a Patel. Okay, so yeah, number one, I'm not a Patel. So he thought I'm like one of his like distant nephews, and he's basically close with his dad. And apparently we look alike or whatever. That came out after. Because I asked the group like, "Who is this guy?" He's like, "Yeah, that's my like second gaga or something." I was like, "Okay, so pretty close." Bruv, we had a half an hour conversation where he was talking about his whole family and how my apparent dad and him grew up together when they opened the shop up. Bruv, half an hour conversation outside, and I just played along. I like, then I asked, so after I asked the groom, right, I was like, it's like, yeah, my cousin couldn't make it because he's working. He's still in the States, so he couldn't get a flight over. But the dad was there. So they must have had a conversation at some point saying, I'll make your son.
did they clock it was you?
Brother, by that time, it was like well into the reception, and I think he must have forgotten about it. Um,
You know what though? Sometimes you just gotta play along. You just gotta play along. Yeah.
yeah. Have you, this also kind of came to, have you ever like killed, like when you're speaking to someone, have you ever killed off the wrong person? Like when you're having a conversation with someone and you get like different people mixed up.
I have done that before,
It,
yeah, where
yeah,
I have done that, and I can't remember which context, which person I've killed off, but I have been corrected before. But do you know what? I tell you what, man, parents do it all the time. They kill off the wrong person, yeah, because they're
yeah. So it kind of reminded me from the back of what Raj said about his dad. And I was like, yeah, I kind of had similar experience like at that wedding where I was like, yeah, they're mistaking like because their family's so big, right? And there's so many cousins and stuff, so you don't know who's who, and you're just like you know all the younger people, like all the cousins and people my age and stuff, right? And the other halves. You don't really know the parents, right? So you kind of mix mix it up. I don't want to say too much. I got a feeling some people are listening to this, so yeah,
Do you know what though? That happens. You know what? When you're talking about your parents' generation, right, and you're familiar with certain people, obviously of your parents' age, it's easy, because you haven't seen them for such a long time. If you haven't seen some of your like your parents' cousins, yeah, or or their uncles, your parent uncles for such a long time, like who are your dadas or whatever, then it's pretty easy for you to be like, hey, yeah, is that Kaka still there? Is he? What's he doing? And then either someone either says, yeah, man, he passed away few years ago, or you just assume, right, that they've passed away because they were pretty old when you were young anyway, but they're still live and kicking. But you've killed them off. But yeah, man, happens.
I do that all the time with my mum actually. When randomly mentions a relative,
Yeah.
a couple of times, my reaction has been, "Are they still alive?" I know it's bad, and she hasn't got at me right. I'm like, "Are they still knocking around?" Because I remember them when I
Are
was
they
younger.
still knocking around?
Yeah. But you know that perception you
Oh,
have.
bro, we're going to hell. Yeah, go
Shit. But
on.
God, I can't stop laughing now. But yeah, you know when you're younger and you have that perception,
Yeah.
like they look really old and they are really
Yes.
old,
Yeah, yeah.
and now it's like 30 years later, like shit, how old must they be? But they kind of look similar they're as frail as they were 30 years ago, and then they randomly like, yeah, your parents randomly mention them and they're like, yeah, we're gonna go see them, or someone in their family's getting married or something. So
Yeah.
my first gut reaction was like, shit, it's been 30 years. How are they? Yeah, I was
You're
shook.
like, I need to get a referral to this guy's physician, man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What's his routine?
Right,
Are they still knocking around?
you should hear my mum. Yeah, she really is not impressed what comes out of my mouth when we discuss family.
Man, do you know what? That's the thing. You know what? You got to be very careful what you say in it and how you say it,
Right,
just in case. Just in case.
there you go, there you go. But I mean, it's come to a point where I think my parents are just like, yeah, I need to try. That is it.
We're naturally kind of like more outspoken, right? And if you can easily get it wrong sometimes. One thing I want to ask you actually though, Situl, yeah, and this is completely off context, but I had it written down today to because I went for it a couple of 2 weeks in a row, right? On a normal working week. Your house can deteriorate. Things can be all over the place naturally, right? Because there's just not enough time in the day for you to get everything where it needs to be, or it may not, right? Someone might one of the couple, right? Maybe it's OCD. I don't know if growing up you ever had this, yeah, but when someone was coming over, yeah, we'd create this false economy, yeah, and I think that if you'd ever live in an Indian household where someone came over and your mom said, clean like you never cleaned before, bruv. Yeah. And I'm talking
Yeah,
about that house is looking spick and span as if like Mrs. Hinch, yeah, you've been cleaning like Mrs. Hinch been around your house, yeah. That that one thing obviously follows suit, right? To us basically. When we've got guests at our house now, right? Yeah. Why is it? Do you think that's just an Indian thing where you have to clean, get everything spick and span, yeah? Bro, I mean, to the point where you lose sleep over it, yeah?
yeah. But you need to talk to Pav about this, right? You're basically describing my wife right now. Every event, yeah, when guests are coming over or we're gonna have, we're having a party, bruv, it's like right, 8 o'clock. You need to clean the bathroom. You need to do this, Hoover, bruv. It kind of, I think it's generational because I know
Yeah.
mums like that. Is like her nana is like passed away, but I think when she was younger, she used to go
Yeah.
over to stay, and he
Yeah.
would like, yeah, fine, they'll Hoover and stuff, and this is back in the day. He would
Yeah.
make her pick like the specks of dust if he saw something. Like, yeah, you've missed a bit. Go pick it up. I think
Yeah.
that has been ingrained in her, and now I don't
Yeah.
have a frigging choice about this shit. I just have to
It's like
deal with it.
clockwork, yeah. Is it like military? Is she
It
like on you?
is like, oh, the amount of frigging cleaning products, right, all lined up, like one of those, yeah, yeah. So I think it's passed down. I don't
Yeah.
think that ever leaves the kind of
I don't know. And I was like, is this an Indian thing where
yeah.
people do we clean like mad freaks? Yeah, when people coming over to show them the clean home that we are normal. We we clean our bloody toilets. Yeah, we
Yeah.
clean, we dust.
We're
Yeah,
not,
but do you know what I mean? Didn't it?
we're not
I don't know,
savages.
man. Because
Well,
during yeah, go on.
no, gone.
No, because like actually, when someone walks through the house, I mean, let's put it this way: when we come, if I came to your house, or it's hardly going to be in a mess, right? Yeah, but you're thinking to yourself, does this person live like this 5 days a week? Yeah, does that make sense? Like, are you telling me there's no containers on their what do you call it, on their kitchen counter? Are you telling me there's no books scattered around, or there's no mail, on the windowsill? Does that, it's like creating some, like false economy. I don't know, man. I don't know what are you saying? What are you saying? You're trying to prove to people that you're not dirty people. Do you understand what I mean? I don't
we're
know.
not savages.
I don't know, man. But someone said to me, right, um, when I was like just talking to him about it, is that it's okay to have a bit of mess in your house, and I think it is. You know why? Because it feels like it's lived in. Yeah. And I was like, do you know what? I do agree with you to a certain extent, but I'm going to use that. yeah, to satisfy myself to say the house is lived in. It's okay to have a little bit. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. How far do you take the lived in scenario?
I don't. I also think it's. I don't know if you get this, yeah, but if my parents come over, they're like, and if I've literally gone out to throw the trash away or something, and the shoes are, not put back in the cupboard, my dad will probably like, "Ken butcher, yeah." I was like, well, I do live here. Yeah. Why are the shoes here? Or why is there, my mum will come over, right? And the first thing, like when you, that parents can't sit still. They have to either criticize something that you're doing, yeah? And there's always a reason for something being out of place. Or they'll come over and they'll just start washing dishes. Yeah. And I'm like, we have a process in place. Yeah. You don't need to come, you coming over and you know, washing the dishes is basically inadvertently dissing my wife because that, or me basically. Yeah. Not that my wife does all the dishes, but I think like you're dissing us saying, oh, this is, do you understand
It's
what I
not
mean? Is
not
it?
not good enough. Yeah, yeah. I don't get that, right. So you know how you say like you don't kind of you don't do it to that level where it's like every day, bruv. It's the opposite. It is fucking every day. Seriously, like seriously, the house would look like that every day, regardless if people there or not, right?
I think we're done. Thank you to everyone who's listening out there. And again, if you have any feedback or certain topics that we picked up on today where you agree or you don't agree, or you've got some story to share, please do. Yeah, and then thanks to Situl again for being the ultimate super sub. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Catch you later.
Peace, everyone.